Hello, welcome to This Week on Planet Earth. I'm your co-host Jacob.
And I'm your co-host Matty, where each week we break down the latest space exploration, science, and technology news.
So without further ado, let's get into this week's stories. So I'm going to kick this week's episode off with a story on a black hole discovery, because, we don't know much about those and they're quite interesting. But basically, scientists have found a vast collection of more than 100 black holes inside our own galaxy. And these black holes are sitting in the middle of a cluster of stars more than 80,000 light years across. And it's interesting because they reckon that there's 3 times as many black holes as scientists would have essentially expected. So that's always cool. I love learning new things about our galaxy because it was exoplanets the last couple of years, and it's fun now considering that we only just recently got a photo that we're able to find like hundreds of them everywhere.
Yeah, they do seem to be, like you said, with exoplanets, something that has only come along recently, but now seem to be quite commonplace and found quite often. So, yeah, it's interesting. I had a look about the mission. They seem to be doing a lot of groundbreaking stuff with it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll catch up on this one again when a little bit more comes out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I thought I'd make a pretty good little opening news bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my opening news bit's a techie piece. So this was something I saw today about Norway has passed a new law that they're going to basically stop influencers on like Instagram and stuff from posting edited selfies and stuff.
Okay.
They have to they have like now you have to put like hashtag ad.
Yeah.
You have to like disclose that the picture's edited.
Okay.
So it's all to do with like sort of like people think they look ugly and sort of social media pressure and things like that. So body positivity. That's the
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because Instagram have been trialing, haven't they, in like a few countries, the whole like removing how many likes you can display and like stuff like that. So that's interesting that countries like taking that approach, but it's a weird one, isn't it? Because like you can see both arguments to that. Like I can see how that would be very positive, and at the same time, it's also really like alien to think that you'd have to like post like everything because like how far do you take it? But that's probably just me being a bit silly.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a weird one. But yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, so my second bit of news this week is some solar flare stuff. It's hopefully not too doom and gloom, but basically the sun erupted with a surprise solar flare on Saturday, July 3rd, and it's the largest one that we've had since 2017. But am I right in thinking that we've just recently moved into like a more active period in the sun? Is it like 11-year cycles?
Yeah, it goes in cycles, and I think we are becoming more active. I don't know if we've sort of peaked yet, but I think we are becoming more active at the moment. So
yeah. So the solar flare occurred from a sunspot called AR2838. So I don't know if there's like a Google Maps for the sun, and you can go and find where that is for that information. But it occurred at 10:29 a.m. EDT time, which is around 2:30 GMT time, and it registered as powerful as an X1 class sun event. I'm not really sure what that means in sun terms, but it sounds pretty interesting. And yeah, it looks quite promising. Well, not promising, but like it's cool that we were tracking it because I don't know about you. Did you notice over the weekend that like the cell signal was iffy, kept going in and out?
I don't think I really used my phone much over the weekend.
I forget you've
been away. Okay.
Yeah, I kept noticing that my cell phone service, and so did my girlfriend, it just kept like dipping in and out. So I was like, "What's going on?" And then I saw this, so I thought maybe it could be something linked to that. But yeah, it's interesting. It's cool that we've got like centers. I think this was the US Space Weather Prediction Center that were tracking it. But yeah, it came from a part of the sun that they weren't expecting it to come from, which I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah. Reading down in the article, it says X-class solar flares are the strongest kind of eruption. So it seems like quite a big one.
Not what you want.
No. My next bit of news was again a techie sort of law piece. So this was what's happening in Hong Kong at the moment. So basically, Hong Kong have sort of passed a load of like new controversial privacy laws, and it's created quite a bit of backlash. And a lot of companies, so Google, Facebook, I think Apple, Twitter, are sort of threatening to basically walk out of the country and just not offer any services there. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. Obviously with what's happening in Hong Kong at the moment, but they were trying to it's basically tied up to like doxing and like Hong Kong being able to like effectively dox people and find like where they live and stuff from sort of private information. So that's why the company's sort of looking to fight back against this.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, that isn't it? We had a big chat about this, I think, in like I could be totally wrong here, but I want to say episode 16 of the Infinite Void, which was all about like the internet and privacy and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's like to have certain technologies and to have certain things probably working at their like optimal level, you need to hand things over, but like where's the line?
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of a line of like what is real life and what is the internet and what the internet should be.
Yeah.
Because I do sort of see the arguments on both sides. Is like, should the internet be a separate thing where you can be somebody different, or should it be like real life where people know who you are? So
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting debate. It's still obviously going on.
Yeah, no, it is interesting, to be fair. So my last piece is a little bit different to something I would usually like bring up, but I'm quite into the whole like ancient history and where humans came from. And the Times have done a piece basically saying that this scored bone could be like the first official art, and it basically came from a Neanderthal. And what this article goes on to say is so cousins of ours, which are the Neanderthals, 51,000 years ago, when they were roaming the planet, they basically found this bone that was from a giant deer, and there's like geometric lines and patterns scored into it, and there's no clear purpose for like why they would have done this. Like it wasn't to be utilized for something or for like a weapon or something. It's more so like arguably just kind of art, or that they just carved these lines into it, just like we would if you had something that you could like bash into a piece of wood or something if you were out camping. So it's really, really interesting, and it's cool because we always kind of think that like how we differed from like Neanderthals with like how we could like build society and how we could manage things differently. And it's cool to see that maybe the Neanderthals also like had like art and could appreciate it too, and maybe we weren't that different to them.
Yeah, there's been a lot of sort of growing when I was growing up, like Neanderthals I thought was like pretty stupid. But like over the last, I think, sort of 10 years or so, there's been a lot of evidence that they were a lot more like us than we probably previously thought. So it doesn't surprise me that they did art and things, but for it to be sort of 50,000 years ago before modern humans were around even, so it's quite cool.
Yeah, it always fascinates me when they find like art pieces or rings, like those I don't know what they're actually called, but you know, there's like astrology rings that fold out to be like a sphere, and you can see all the constellations and stuff on them. They're so awesome. It's like, it's crazy that like people back then were doing stuff like that, because we're exactly the same now. We like to own things because it makes us feel a certain way, and it's cool to see humans so long ago caring about similar things.
Yeah, it's a cool insight into sort of how humans are the same but different at the same time, I think. So
yeah.
Yeah, so my last piece was a cool bit of space news. So this was it's this sort of piece about there's this sort of ongoing mystery of like methane on Mars, and this piece was published by NASA, and they think they've got like this answer to it. So this is like a bit of background. Basically, this sort of mystery they have is that the Curiosity rover has this sort of instrument on it that's able to detect methane at the surface, obviously. Okay. And it's doing this around the Gale crater.
Yeah.
And it's repeatedly sort of detecting methane, and like saying there's quite a lot of methane there, which is interesting itself. But then some of the satellites, so European Space Agency's ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter satellite, basically can't find it, and it's been going on for a few years now that what they're discovering at the surface and like what Curiosity is saying is very different to
What they're seeing from space.
And they thought it was maybe like an instrument problem, but like the instruments that are on Curiosity, it's called the tunable laser spectrometer, are like proper high tech. They are like some of the best spectrometry devices known, and they seem to be working correctly. So it sort of baffled scientists for quite a while, but they think they might have an answer to it in that. Well, this one team, what they think is happening is that the Curiosity one only sort of works, only operates at night.
Yeah.
When none of the Curiosity instruments are sort of working, because it takes quite a lot of power. So at night, they think that methane is sort of being spurted out from somewhere and is sort of just sitting on the surface because there's less wind at night, because there's no sun activity, there's no wind. So Curiosity detects like quite high levels during the night. They say up to 20 parts per billion. But then by the time that the orbiter goes over in the day, the wind picks up and sort of blows it away. So it only sees like the remnants of it. And they've sort of done some experiments, and they managed to get some time of using the Curiosity instrument during the daytime as well. And they saw that it was exactly that. It was quite high sort of at night. And then throughout the day, it basically dropped off to zero, like they were seeing from the orbiter. So they sort of seem to match them up, and they think they might have sort of solved this problem of the methane mystery on Mars.
That's well interesting. Imagine if that's like how it is as well, because that's like so out of the box.
Yeah, it's quite cool. And this has been sort of going on for years about why it might be different, and they thought for a long time it was like an instrument failure or something, so they're probably quite relieved as well they might have an answer to it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's really cool. Well, thank you everyone that tuned in to this week on Planet Earth. If you want to hit us up on social media or stay up to date with when episodes drop, you can follow Twope News on Instagram, or you can follow Infinite Void Pod on both Twitter and Instagram, because we also share the episodes there. And yeah, we will catch you next episode.